The storm that night was vicious, slamming against the windshield as if trying to tear Denise Carter off the road. Her old white pickup rattled with every gust, wipers screeching as they fought for a clear view. The diner had closed late, her uniform still damp from a spilled coffee pot, and all she wanted now was warmth and silence. But then she saw it. A black luxury sedan sat crooked on the roadside, hazard lights blinking weakly in the rain. The hood was up, steam curling into the night air. As she slowed, her headlights revealed an elderly white man standing beside the car, completely soaked, gripping the fender for balance. No umbrella, no help, just exhaustion on his lined face. Denise hesitated. It was the kind of night that made people mind their business. But his hand shook around a phone that clearly had no signal. She sighed, rolled down her window. "You okay out here?" she called. The man turned, startled. "My car died. No tow trucks. No signal. I think I'm lost." Denise unlocked the door. "Get in before you freeze." He studied her, wary, unsure, but eventually climbed into the truck, dripping onto the worn seat. She cranked the weak heater. The hum filled the silence. "You didn't have to stop," he said softly. "Guess I did," she shrugged. "Can't leave someone's granddad melting in the rain." A small laugh escaped him. He introduced himself as Henry Weston, driving home from a late meeting when the storm overwhelmed his car. She didn't pry. She just drove, headlights slicing through rain and darkness. When they reached her small apartment block, she brought him inside, handed him a towel, a warm cup of instant soup, and her only blanket. He protested, but she insisted. Later, while he slept on her couch, she stared out the rain easing into a thin drizzle. She didn't know who he was. Didn't need to know. She'd simply done what her mother once taught her. Help when you can. Before dawn, she left for her shift. The couch was empty, the blanket folded neatly. A small note sat on her table. "Thank you for seeing me as a person." She tucked it into her pocket and stepped back into the cold morning. At the diner, Denise rushed in 10 minutes late, still damp from the rain. The smell of frying bacon hit her as the manager, Steve Harlow, spun toward her. "Carter, you think time been for you?" he barked, loud enough for customers to hear. "I'm sorry, sir. There's a man stranded in the storm." "Save it," he snapped. "You're late. That's all that matters." Heads turned. The cook froze at the grill. Denise swallowed hard. "I had to help someone." "You think good deeds pay rent?" Steve barked, rolling his eyes. "Hand over your apron. You're done." A quiet fell over the diner. Denise untied her apron, laid it on the counter gently. No tears, no scene, just quiet dignity. As she walked out, customers murmured, "She's the nicest one here." But Steve only smirked and straightened his tie. "Perfect timing," he muttered. "Owner's coming today. Last thing I need is charity cases making us look sloppy." Outside, Denise stood alone in the drizzle, staring at her reflection in a puddle. She had done the right thing, even if it cost her. She didn't know the black sedan was rolling past the diner at that exact moment. The window lowered slightly. Henry Weston watched her walk away, the note she'd given him resting beside him. "So this is where she works," he murmured and drove forward. By noon, the diner buzzed with anticipation. The elusive owner was finally visiting. At exactly 12:30, the door chimed. A tall, silver-haired man stepped inside, calm, polished, commanding. The room fell silent. Steve hurried forward with a grin stretched too wide. "Mr. Weston, sir? Welcome. Everything's perfect today." Weston looked around the diner, then stopped when he saw the empty corner where Denise had worked. "Where's the young woman from this morning?" he asked. Steve blinked. "You mean Denise? I fired her. Always late. Poor attitude. Not the image you want." Weston's jaw tightened. He turned to the cook. "Is that true?" The cook stared at the floor. "No, sir. She was the best here." Steve's smile faltered. "People exaggerate." "Call her back," Weston said. Silence dropped. Steve stammered, "Sir, that won't be NEC." "I said call her back." Minutes later, The bell jingled as Denise stepped inside, still confused and damp from walking back. Weston approached her gently. "Miss Carter," he said, voice warm. "You helped me last night when no one else stopped. You didn't know I owned this diner. You just saw a person in need." Whispers rippled through the room. "So I'm making this official," he continued. "You are reinstated as co-manager, effective immediately." Steve sputtered. "You're promoting her? She's—" "I'm very serious," Weston said coldly. "You wanted to impress me. You just did the wrong way." The staff applauded softly. Denise stood frozen, tears forming. "You gave me kindness in the rain," Weston said. "I intend to return it with respect." The din in the weeks that followed, the diner changed. The morning rush felt lighter, the smiles came easier, and under Denise's steady leadership, everything ran smoother. Customers lingered longer. Tips grew. Even the regulars said the place finally felt human again. But not everyone was pleased. Steve Harlow worked the register now, his former authority stripped away. Every time Denise passed him, polite, calm, unbothered, something bitter twisted inside him. He stayed late, pacing the kitchen long after closing, muttering under his breath. Then the missing money started. At first it was small, $50 short, then $70. Denise found the discrepancies during nightly counts. She double-checked, triple-checked. No mistakes. Someone was making it look like she was stealing. The thought made her stomach drop, but she didn't accuse anyone. Instead, she went straight to Weston. "I've gone through every register," she told him quietly. "Someone is doing this on purpose." Weston studied her face. "Do you have a suspect?" "None I can prove." "Then we'll find proof," he said. That night, Weston returned with a quiet man in plain clothes, a private investigator. Tiny cameras were installed discreetly near the registers. Only Weston and Denise knew. Days passed. Denise kept working with the same gentle patience as always. Steve kept to himself, but his eyes flicked constantly toward her drawer, watching, waiting. Then, one rainy Tuesday night, the camera caught it. Steve waited until Denise stepped outside to handle delivery, then slipped to her register. He pulled out a stack of bills and quietly replaced her count slip with one he'd forged. His lips curled into a smug smile. "Let's see you talk your way out of this," he whispered. The next morning, Weston called a staff meeting. Confused employees gathered around the counter. The investigator opened a laptop and hit play. The video was undeniable. Steve's hand, the money, the smirk. His face turned ghost white. "That's edited," he yelled. "She set me up." Denise didn't say a word. Weston finally spoke, voice controlled but icy. "You framed a woman who saved me in a storm. You tried to destroy her name and my business. I built this place on trust. You poisoned it." Two officers stepped to the side door. The handcuffs clicked before Steve could protest. He shouted, cursed, kicked, but no one looked at him. Not anymore. The diner stayed quiet the rest of the day. Denise worked her shift as usual, though something in her seemed steadier, like a storm she finally walked through. Later that night, Weston approached her. "You handled all this with grace," he said. "Most people would have shouted." Denise gave a soft, tired smile. "Some storms you stand through. Others pass on their own." 6 months later, the diner was unrecognizable. The windows gleamed. A bright new sign above the door read, "Rainy Day Diner." Every seat was filled. People didn't just come for breakfast. They came for the story. The waitress who helped a stranger in a storm and changed both their lives. Inside, the air buzzed with laughter and clinking plates. Denise moved through the room with gentle authority, clipboard in hand. Her staff respected her. The customers adored her. Weston often sat quietly in his corner booth, watching her work with a kind of proud admiration. A local reporter had once asked why he'd made her co-owner. He'd simply said, "She gave me kindness when she had nothing. That's worth more than profit." That evening, after the dinner rush, Weston stood and tapped a spoon against a glass. Eyes turned toward him. "We built this place on compassion," he said. "And Denise reminded us what that looks like. Today, I'm making something official. He handed her an envelope. "She's not just co-manager anymore," Weston announced. "She's my partner." The diner erupted in applause. Denise pressed a hand to her mouth, overwhelmed. Inside the envelope were legal papers granting her full partnership. "You've earned this," Weston said softly. "Every bit of it." Later that night, after the last customer left and the lights dimmed, Denise stepped outside for air. The pavement glistened with leftover rain. Across the street, under the flickering glow of a car wash sign, she saw a figure she recognized. Steve. He was scrubbing a windshield, his posture slumped, his uniform damp and worn. His fall had been steep, but earned. For a long moment, she simply watched him. Then she crossed the street slowly. He froze when she approached. She handed him a sealed envelope. "This is for you," she said gently. Suspicion flickered across his face. "What is it?" "Your name's on it," she said. "Open it when you're ready." She turned and walked away, returning to the warm glow of the diner. Steve eventually tore the envelope open. Inside was a small check made out to a local charity and a donation receipt with his name on it. Beneath it, a handwritten note. "Everyone deserves a second chance." I had mine. Back inside, Denise flipped the sign from closed to open again. The morning sun began to rise, casting gold across the polished counter. She tied her apron, steady and sure, ready for another day. The first customer of the morning pushed open the door, shaking off raindrops from his coat. Denise smiled warmly. "Morning," she said. "Welcome to Rainy Day Diner, where kindness is always on the menu." Earl would never be the same again.